Okay, before we get started on this stuff, a little bit of background on this character. I'm running with the Raven Creek and Fort Redstone mods, and I spawned in what looks to be some kind of camp around about here-ish. I walked through the woods for a really long time until I came to the military base, which of course is just full of zombies, so I couldn't do anything with that. I walked for an even longer time until I got to the road, and then an even longer time down the road until I came to some houses. Using those houses as a base, I got myself together and went down into Rosewood, planning several excursions in which I got myself a car, some gas, supplies, and even successfully cleared the police station where I was able to get some guns and ammo. There was also an unsuccessful attempt to raid the police station in Muldra. Yeah, it just wasn't happening. I had intended to build my skills up a little more, but a particularly nasty helicopter event means I kinda just want to get out of Dodge. This is a problem, because while decent, my melee skills aren't quite where I want them. My character is a veteran, so I do have pretty good aim, but unfortunately I haven't been able to find nearly as much ammo as I'd like. With all that said, enjoy the carnage. Just doing one more check of my stored gear in the back of this truck before I make my way out to the prison. You can see I've stored some firefighter gear because it has excellent protection against bites and scratches, an ensemble I complete by going across the street to the parking lot and grabbing my welder's mask, which I dropped during the scuffle with the zombies that came during the helicopter event. So now we're heading out. Now, I do have, in that house that I was parked in front of, I do have a bunch of supplies stashed, and I believe I can come back and get them, provided I'm not away for 3 days. If I'm away for more than 3 days, I think the prison will respawn its population. But I come across an ambulance wreck on the way there, and I'm trying to get in, because I actually could use some medical supplies for dealing with scratches and lacerations and the like. If I get bitten, I'm dead. I am on Apocalypse difficulty, but unfortunately, the back door is locked, and I really don't have time to try and break in. Now coming to the gatehouse of the prison, I drive around the barriers, which I don't need to do. You can actually walk and drive right through them, but for RP purposes, that's what we're doing. And the reason I want to get in is because I know that there's a mini fridge in there, and I want food. More specifically, I want food that actually helps with thirst, like fresh fruits and stuff. And the reason for that is because the water has already been shut off, and although I have some stored, all I can really do is hope to make my way into the prison and get to some sinks fast enough to get what's still in the taps. Here we are coming upon the front gate. And what I want to do first is use my machete to clear out whatever loose zombies are in the front. Just want to slap down as much as I can, because remember, there are, I believe, I'm on Apocalypse difficulty, and I believe there are expected to be about 700 zombies inside. So I can already see some banging on the windows, and oh my god.
So it begins.
Yeah, I've attracted quite a bit more attention than I wanted to this early on. So I take out my trusty shotgun, which I don't have a whole lot of ammo for, and try to start thinning the herd. Of course, I know this is going to attract more, both from inside and from the surrounding woods, but by God, do I have no conception of just how many more are going to be coming out and after me. Now that I've thinned them out a bit, I'm going to want to switch back to my machete, which... See, I haven't even assigned a quick slot to it yet because I just didn't expect to be dealing with this much this early. Oh, good God. And I'm using more ammo than I'm really willing to deal with here. Now, if I had gotten my way with this, I'd have had plenty of ammo and I'd just be shooting them all down as they come. But unfortunately, I don't have enough ammo, and I had not intended on dealing with this much this early, so what I'm going to do here is try to slap down as many as I can, but it's just too many. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start heading off towards the woods, and this is a good strategy. If you haven't played this game a whole lot, a good strategy when you're being pursued by a large herd is to head towards the woods and try to break line of sight and lose them in there. You're seeing a little bit of like distortion going on with the screen here. It seems to happen when I'm recording at higher zooms. I don't see that while I'm playing, but it seems to be some kind of issue with OBS. It may be because I'm recording the display and not the program, so I'm going to try and have that fixed in the next episode. Luckily, you don't see a whole lot of that in this video because, I'm clearing the prison, so I spend a lot of time zoomed in, and it doesn't seem to happen at lower zooms, which is good. Just trying to deal with as many of these as I can while I can, because each one that I kill is one that won't be part of a larger group later. So I try to kill as many isolated ones as I can, but unfortunately there's not much I can do here, so I have no choice but to get into my car, turn on my AC because it is sweltering out, it's extremely hot, it's the middle of July, and I'm wearing a firefighter suit, so of course it's very hot. And I end up fleeing deeper inside the prison in an attempt to regroup. I come into this corner here where it's relatively safe, and I'm going to slap down this Zed right here. And I'm going to use this opportunity to kind of regroup and rearm. So I'm going to look in the back, and I'm going to grab an axe. Unfortunately, I don't have quite enough time to get it out and equip it before the dead are upon me. So I have to run past them, just barely making it. Leveling up and sprinting, I guess. Or some other such skill. And I use this opportunity to... They're fairly spread out. It looks like a lot, but I'm shoving them when they get too close. Because the thing that I absolutely don't want to happen, or the thing that I do want to happen, is keep them in a line. Unlike here. When they start standing side by side like that, that's how you get enveloped and dragged down, which is the last thing that I want. I'm getting a little bit overwhelmed here, so I'm trying to circle around, getting them to all to follow me, and hopefully forcing them into more of a column formation, which will allow me to kill them using this axe, which does tremendous damage, but unfortunately does take up a little bit more stamina and durability than a machete, which is why I'm going to use it sparingly. And see, if I wasn't paying attention, I could have ended up in that little corner there, which would have trapped me. And the worst thing that can happen to me is getting trapped, which is why I want to fight as many as I can outside. I want to fight as many zombies as I can outside, because indoors, it's dark, it's cramped, it's all hallways, there's all these little side rooms where something can come out unexpectedly, and it's just a mess. So right now I'm going to take out my Colt M4 carbine, which is equipped with a suppressor. I don't really want to be using that here, but I also don't want to be using my shotgun anymore, because at this time, I'm pretty sure I don't have a whole lot of ammo left for it. I actually have more than I think. I'm obviously doing a post-commentary here, because I want to be able to think while I'm playing. And I'm going to use my M4, although I don't have much ammo for that either, to be fair. I had hoped to use my suppressed M4 in the hallways, but unfortunately I'm not going to have enough ammo for that now. 2 for 1. I'm using Brita's Weapons mod as well, and you'll probably see when I right-click that I am using Cheat Menu as well. I don't use it in the course of this video, however I use it, or I have it installed for in case of, there are certain situations where you can get bitten or otherwise injured in some fairly stupid and unfair ways. However, it doesn't happen very often, and like I said, it doesn't happen in this video. If I do ever use it, I'll make a promise right now. If I do ever use the cheat menu to heal myself, I'll show it in the video, and I'll leave it for you guys to decide if it's legit. And if you decide that it's not, then I guess I'll just feed myself to the horde. But now that's all I'm willing to use on these guys. It's thinned out enough that I think I can start going to town with a machete. And luckily they are staying kind of in a column formation. Each one I kill makes things a lot less complicated exponentially. And now things are starting to look a little easier. As I've said, I don't have very much ammo, so I want to spare my ammo as much as possible by going in with melee weapons, or even just stomping them to death to save durability on the melee. Because these machetes, I only have 2 of them. One of them's fairly low. Another does seem to be fairly durable, but once it's out, it's out. And I don't know, I think they're both part of Brita's weapon mod, but I don't know how easy it's going to be to come by more. Now you'll see I'm a little bit tired and exhausted, so I rest up for a while. And I use this technique, which is going to be the only real safe way to sleep, which is with the air conditioning on, because I don't want to end up frying myself in a hot car like a dog. and I sleep up against the fence so that hopefully the zombies won't be able to break through my window and kill me while I'm sleeping, but I can hear snarling outside as I rest. And yeah, you'll see a couple of zombies have managed to get in between the fence and the car. Fortunately, it seems like they don't really have, either they don't have leverage or they can't quite make it to my door, so luckily they weren't able to break my window and kill me. Small differences in the way I was positioned could have actually caused a very different outcome and caused things to go very, very bad for me. I'm heading around now the side to try and look for ways I can make ingress. And I see there's a whole bunch of zombies piled up on these windows. Now, the good thing about these prison windows is that they're extremely durable. Dozens of zombies can be pounding on them for literal days before they break. And I want to try and sneak up and take the ones that are on the window. Unfortunately, I'm kind of afraid to get close because, you know, that window could go at any time. And if I'm standing too close when they break out, well, that obviously would be pretty bad for me. So I'm going to take out my gun and reload, which I should probably remember to do more often. And I'm going to back up and start plinking away, trying to thin that. It's honestly probably a little bit foolish of me to be using a gun here. To be honest, I'd never used Brita's weapon mod before, and I was kind of excited to use it. But a problem happens here with the aiming, where, and I kind of resolved this later by realizing, like, okay, I really need to be aiming in front of them in order for it to catch. If I aim too far behind them, they're a lot less likely to be picked up by the green indicator, which... So basically, in Build 41, if you don't know, they added these hit indicators. All of it is optional. You can turn it all off. I've enabled it for melee for ease of use and to prevent miscommunications. And you can also... It's on by default for using guns. I use it here because a green indicator means the most likely to hit, all the way on a sliding scale down to red, which means very unlikely to hit. And unfortunately, in this moment here, I don't really learn that you have to keep your aim in front of them to maximize effectiveness. I kind of start to get it, but by this point, I don't really want to use too much ammo anymore. And here you can hear the sound of something breaking. I don't know what it was. I don't know if maybe an attachment on the gun broke. But anyway, I'm going to take out my machete and start taking out the last remaining Zeds while I move up to this window and figure out what I want to do with the ones inside. So I deal with this last one, and I start looking into this window, and I'm trying to figure out if I can shoot through the window to kill what's on the other side. One falls off the roof there, and it looks like I can't, so not wanting to waste more ammo, I move away. And now night has fallen, I'm looking for another way in, and I come upon this little external unit where the classroom is. So as usual, it looks like we got quite a few coming out of that door over there. I'm going to take out my gun and start plinking away at these guys. Luckily by now I've kind of learned how to better aim. You never really use guns much in the base game. I find them to be a lot more useful with Brita's weapons mod. I don't know if they make the guns more accurate, or if it's just because I'm starting as a veteran and those few levels that you get really do make the difference. And now, I'm going to try something that you can do in this build now. You can actually drive by, and it seems to get pretty good results. So I roll down my window, and I'm just shooting from the window. And yeah, pretty much, part of it could be the longer delay between shots. But I'm pretty much hitting them every time. It's actually quite fun, but now, in the interest of saving ammo, I'm going to get out and handle the last few with the machetes. Zombies seem to be really interested in objects that they can destroy. And remember, I am using default apocalypse settings, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But they're really interested in these windows, which is great for me, actually, because while it may seem annoying that they cluster on those windows, it means I can kind of get a better feel for what I'm doing without them coming from me. You can see I'm quite anxious. I think anxious has to do with, first of all, the fact that I'm a smoker and probably haven't had a cigarette in a while. And I think it also is increased in the dark, as well as panicked. But being a veteran, I have the brave trait and desensitized, which means that I don't really panic. It takes a lot to make me panic. Alright, first time entering the prison. And it seems we have a kitchen. Now that's good for me, because it means it's going to have a couple of sinks. Now, in this hot weather, I go through water pretty quickly, especially since I was really trying to maximize this character for combat, so I did take the Hearty Appetite and High Thirst traits, so I'm going to need to top off on water absolutely whenever I can. Now, whenever I can, of course it's dark in there, it's cramped. Whenever I can, I'm going to want to lure zombies outside so that I can fight them. I'd rather fight them on open ground so that, A, I have a pretty good idea that nobody's going to be coming in behind me, although it always could still happen. They are pretty slimy, and you do tend to get tunnel vision while fighting zombies. The other thing is that if things go really wrong, I want to have space to run away. And I want to have space to run away that isn't just deeper into the prison. But anyway, we're going to take this opportunity to fill up our water bottles. Remember, these sinks are not infinite, only a week in, and the water is already shut off, so I really only have what's in those sinks, and then it's out. Going to try and sneak back in and do a little bit of reconnaissance to see what's going on in here. And I see on my left, on the right is still an unknown, but the left leads to this classroom where there's a whole lot of zombies, but they're mostly focused on the windows. And this one's going to start coming out. I'm going to kill him. And there's nothing I can do about that classroom right now, so I'm going to start making my way back out and towards the exit so I can regroup and gather my thoughts. Just got to deal with these guys on the door first. I still don't know what's beyond that or where that window leads, so that's also something I'm going to want to know. I try stepping on this glass to try and get their attention, because that does make a fair bit of noise. Unfortunately, they're more interested in the windows, and I only attract one other zombie from deeper in the prison. I'm about to go to bed for the night, but first I'm going to take care of these zombies outside, because there's kind of tiers to the fences, just like in a real prison. There's like sort of layers to the fences, and I want to get my layer where I'm going to be sleeping as clear as possible, just to minimize the number of zombies that are going to be coming up to my car. But anyway, I take greater care to line myself up with the fence, climb over the seat, and once more, we sleep for the night. In the morning, I come back to find that there's now more zombies on the outside of the classroom banging on the windows. I'm really not sure where they're coming from, and that's going to be definitely a big priority for me, is figuring out where all these zombies are coming from, and that's going to be a constant throughout the video, is wondering where these guys are coming from. Now, it may seem frustrating that I come back in the morning and there's just more outside where I already killed a bunch. It may seem frustrating, but remember, it's not just spawning new zombies. There's a finite amount for as long as I remain here, and as long as I don't leave for more than 3 days. They're not going to respawn, or at least I think that's how it works. So, that doesn't worry me. It's actually kind of encouraging, because it means that, okay, more of them from inside the prison are coming outside, and that allows me to deal with them in isolated groups and where they're far less dangerous. In fact, that's right now why I'm luring these zombies out of the kitchen. Please let me know in the comments how you feel about how much combat I'm leaving in. Because yes, combat is kind of the point, but do you want to see me killing all these loose zombies? Do you want to see me scouting areas for the first time? Or do you just want it to be the big combat where there's a ton of them coming at me, even though I'd like to avoid that as much as possible? Because this video is going to run a little long, but I kind of think that's the whole appeal of this video to me, is I want to show the process and all the work that clearing out this prison is, and I want to be able to discuss the strategies that I'm using. So here, I'm shooting from the window, banking on them being more interested in the window. And unfortunately, I made a big mistake here. I thought, oh, I'm suppressed. Nobody's going to hear it. But it does still make some noise, and that's drawn some from down the hall, which I just wasn't paying attention to at all. And it almost gets me killed here. I just barely make it out. I run out of ammo, and I turn around, and I see a bunch of them coming down the hall, and I panic so hard. I'm like, no, I can't end this run this early. So anyway, I'm going to use my machete. I love this thing so much. I can't remember off the top of my head what this particular machete is called, but I love it. And I don't remember if I leave it in the video, but I check its durability, and after killing a lot of zombies, it's barely gone down. The only thing that sucks is I don't think I can repair it. Alright. Bring the car back around and deal with a few more outside boys. And whoa, see that little swing right there that almost got me a bite? That kind of thing is why I run with cheat menu, because he's green, the highlight is showing that I'm going to hit him, and then it doesn't. It doesn't happen super often, but it does happen, and I would hate to lose this run to something stupid. That right there, if I had been bitten right there, that would have been a legitimate death, because what happened was I allowed them to get side by side, and when you're dealing with two of them side by side, that's when one of them gets a chance to bite you. But I'm just going to finish with them, and I'm going to figure out how I can push myself deeper into the prison. Or not really push deeper in just yet. Before I do anything, and here, I take an injury. I've just been injured because, once again, I let them get side by side. Luckily, it's just a scratch. Now, a scratch, the way the injuries in Build 41 work is like this. A scratch has a 7% chance to transmit the zombie infection. If you get the zombie infection, that's it, you're dead. A laceration has a 25% chance, and a bite is 100% chance. Now, I went ahead and disinfected with some alcohol wipes to prevent the possibility of regular infection. I am covered in blood, and so are my clothes. Unfortunately, I don't have any bandages on me right now, so I take a t-shirt from the corpse of a dead prisoner, and I rip it up. And I'm going to use that. I don't know why I'm looking in there. I'm going to use that to apply the ripped sheets as a bandage. This game is so great. But now I'm going to use the sledgehammer to knock down this wall, and I figure that's going to be safer, much, much safer than going down that hallway where zombies can come from behind me. Is just open up that hole in the wall, let them come out through there, and I'll deal with them on my own terms in the courtyard. Now, I'm going to slap that guy down, and you can see there's some in front of me, 2 on that window, and like 3 or 4 on the window to my right. I try calling out, but unfortunately it doesn't get their attention. I don't want to start working on one of them until I can clear the other, because I don't want anybody noticing me. I'm out of ammo again. See, calling out did attract some from inside the kitchen. I don't want to start fighting one group, have the other group notice me, and whichever way I go, the route behind me is blocked by the time I notice that. I want to do as little combat indoors as possible, but you see I'm a nervous wreck, and I'm not really sure why. It's daylight now, and I'm starting to think that having my anxiety be amplified has something to do with being around all these dead bodies. But this is an action series, and you're not going to see me carting bodies away. So I shoot these guys, which I really... I guess I do, because those guys are still on the right. So I'm going to use the machete to deal with them. Have I mentioned I love this machete? Like, half the time it just one-shots them, and I'm only on level 2 for Longblade. I'm going to be so sad when this thing finally breaks. And I'm just taking a quick glance down the hall to make sure nobody's coming. And there's some real screwy line of sight going on with these bookcases. I should be able to see them from here. But anyway, I'm going to ready my gun. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to smoke a cigarette to try and eliminate as much of this anxiety as I possibly can. I know you get anxious if you haven't smoked for a long time, but this is something else. This isn't just from the smoker trait. Anyway, I'm going to start shooting at these guys until I run out of ammo. And then that'll pull a few of them away who are attracted by the noise, and I'm going to deal with them using the machete. And it looks like I also brought in another boy from the hallway, who I guess heard that. It's really, really terrifying not knowing where they're going to be coming from. So in this playthrough, the most critical thing, I think, is going to be not letting myself get cornered. And once we get inside the prison, it's going to become harder and harder not to get cornered. I'm going to have to really pay attention to where zombies are able to come from, which is why these little jutting structures like this classroom, that are kind of isolated and only connected by a hallway, these are the things that I want to get first. Because it provides a good starting point for me to get in and know that nothing is going to come from behind me. Or, I won't say no. I don't know anything. These guys... The thing that you come to find out is that controlling zombies is a lot like fluid dynamics. They do work a lot like a liquid. And it's all about trying to control the flow of the liquid. That liquid, of course, being blood. Lots and lots of blood. So that's now a magazine and a half that I've spent on this window right here. And that's kind of all I'm willing to use. So once again, we're going to back out, along with anyone we've attracted. And we're going to deal with them using the machete. Once again, and that's actually kind of annoying, they're banging on the windows. They seem more interested in that than me, which is quite annoying because they're right next to my exit. So if I come in the wrong way, they could very easily just turn and all swarm me at once, and I'll have nowhere to really maneuver. Luckily, they stay interested on this window until I'm right next to them, so it kind of allows me to pick them off one by one. And I'm going to take a look and examine what's left. It looks like there's only 3 or 4 zombies left on the window, with a few kind of writhing on the floor, because the other zombies are standing on top of them. That's another feature of Build 41, is if a zombie is knocked down and someone's standing on top of it, it won't be able to get back up. And unfortunately, the aim is getting a little screwy now because of the ones on the floor. But now I'm able to just stomp them to death in order to save that precious machete durability. And I see now that one of them actually has a house key on it, which I'm going to grab because I'm pretty sure a house key on a zombie spawned in the prison is going to open all doors within the prison. So I put it on my key ring, and I start knocking the glass out of these windows, and I'm doing that for 2 reasons. One, so that I can attract any zombies that'll hear it, because removing glass does actually make a fair bit of noise. I'm going to dodge as he comes through, because they can knock you over if they come through the window while you're there. And the other reason is because if I have to run out, and for whatever reason I don't make the kitchen door, I can quickly jump through these windows without getting cut up, and make my way through that hole in the back. I take a quick look inside the prison pantry and grab some corn before I go over here, and I think at this point I'm going to try and look out through this window to see what I can see, because I saw some come out through this window before, and it looks like that leads to the prison cafeteria. I don't see a whole lot, which is a good sign, but I don't really know what's in there, and I don't know with that cabinet in the way if I'm going to be able to climb back through the window, so I'm not going to climb out yet. However, I am going to come through here to see what I can see. It looks like this is the serving area, and unfortunately my line of sight is obscured, although I can hear zombies just all over the place. And it looks like the cafeteria has some windows that lead into another hallway, so even if I clear that cafeteria, it's not going to deal with everything right away. And now a bunch climb through this window, and I'm going to have to deal with them. I'm kind of foolishly trying to fight them in here, because I'm a little bit impatient, but the smarter thing to do would definitely be to lure them all outside, especially now that there's 4 and 5 zombies coming after me. I don't know if you just saw, one appears to have come from the pantry. That can't be right. I don't know where it would have come from. And I'm going to use my gun to clear them out a little bit. I honestly probably didn't need to do that. I think out here I could have taken them using only the machete, but I was getting a little bit nervous. And, once again, I do recommend Britta's Weapon mod, because it does make guns quite fun to use, and they're something that you wouldn't really use too much in the base game, although they are much more useful than they used to be. I mean, I'll vouch, don't knock shotguns, even in the base game. They can really get you out of a sticky situation, and they're great for training that aim up, so that you can start to use other things like rifles and handguns. So, when I looked out into that common area, I was somewhat encouraged, because there's zombies, but there's not a whole ton of them. They're not as densely packed as I thought they'd be, which is very encouraging, because we're kind of starting to get more into the heart of the prison now, the belly of the beast, and not an external unit. And it's kind of starting to make me think that maybe through the course of killing them in the front and in the classroom, maybe I lured a bunch of what was here out. At this time, I actually don't have an answer to whether that's the case, but it is encouraging to not see so many. Of course, they could all be just gathered up somewhere, and from what I've seen, a lot of them are gathered up on windows, so that could be the only reason I'm not seeing so many, is because they're all on windows somewhere. Which is going to be a real challenge to deal with. I don't know how I'm going to deal with those window hordes once I've run out of ammo. I may have to make a run for the police station and get some other weapons that I have more ammo for. I'm basically very close to running out of 5.56 at this point, if I'm not out already, and I don't have a whole lot of shotgun ammo. I do have a lot of 45 ACP and the handgun to use it with, but that's not very accurate. So here I'm grabbing a plank from a door and I'm taking it outside, and I'm using it to craft spears. Now, unfortunately, I don't have... Look at that, how satisfying is that? And I want to test something out here, and oh my god, you can. You can pull a Walking Dead. Unfortunately, it breaks right there, because the durability of spears is tied to your level in carpentry, which I haven't leveled up at all, so unfortunately my spears are going to suck. But it does mean I can use doors to get some extra durability and save my machete. Now, I see these guys coming from over here towards that first place I attempted to get in. The first place I saw them trying to break in a window. And I'm going to sleep for the night. But it does kind of have me wondering, where are all these extra zombies coming from in these areas that I thought I've cleared? Of course, I wake up to a bunch of them. These are probably remnants of ones that chased me when I came in and when I first fled the front entrance. So I'm going to get out. I'm going to grab myself a machete again. I'm going to grab my less durable machete because I don't want to waste the other one. I want my more reliable one for when I'm inside and I really need to kill them quickly. And I'm going to start killing off these guys. And now one comes from behind me, which really presses the urgency, because I thought I had cleared all of this. I don't know where they can possibly be coming from. So that really presses the urgency of, I need to figure out where these zombies are coming from. And then I head back down that path from yesterday so I can grab my shotgun and my axe. More zombies built up on the window, and as I walked in, I don't know if you saw, but there are some zombies on the roof, and that's going to be important for later on. I'm going to use my machete to deal with these guys. Once again, it's just more tedious combat. I am cutting a lot of tedious combat where it's just a single zombie, but I think stuff like this I should show. And unfortunately, the crappy machete does break at that point. So now all I have is Old Faithful. Now, upon killing this prison guard, I'm going to check him and grab his beta blockers. And I'm going to try taking them to see if it does anything about my anxiety. And unfortunately it doesn't. It seems like it only affects the panic trait. And I take a quick look to see if maybe there's anything useful in that storage room. But in the end, my nerves get the better of me, because I don't want that window breaking while I'm inside. And as I drive up, you see there's more zombies on the roof. And now's the point where I'm kind of starting to realize, oh, there must be... They're getting onto the roof somehow. And whenever I make noise, they're walking off the side of the roof. So I'm going to take the shotgun and deal with all these zombies that are built up on this window and kill a whole bunch of them. The shotgun is great for dealing with crowds because it can hit several of them at once. Really, really great for dealing with crowds, and especially when they're clustered up like that. And also really great for training your aim. So I'm going to use my machete to try and keep these guys, remember, single file, so that they don't have a chance to bite me. And having just learned that zombies are falling off the roof, I really should be paying more attention behind me. Because that means that that corner that I just rounded is really no longer the safe thing that I thought it was. But I finished dealing with them. And now I see, yep, you just saw in the corner there, one of them fell down. And now all that's left is one around the side here, and a bunch more that have built up in the classroom. which not nearly the same numbers as before, so that's no big to deal with. And that makes me happy because these are probably guys that were lured out from the common area, which is good for me when I decide to re-enter there. Remember, they don't respawn, so each one that I kill is just one less. And if I can kill them in smaller groups, all the better, because it means they won't be part of a larger group later. I'm going to see everybody eventually. I'd rather see them alone. Making my way back down to the common area, I'm kind of trying to scout out where I'm going to make ingress again, and I see that there's a whole bunch of zombies pounding on a window or door at the end of the hall. Now, that's scary to me, but I also see it as an opportunity to use the shotgun to kill 5 or 6 birds with one stone. I'm going to start dealing with the ones that are coming out of these windows, and a real annoying thing is going to happen to me here. So that guy crawls out, and he's able to knock me down and actually draw blood. He knocks my helmet off, and he scratches up my leg, and now my leg is bleeding. It doesn't have a chance to infect me because it's not a bite or a scratch, but my leg is bleeding, and it tears a hole in my pants legs. Remember, those are pants legs that are offering a lot of protection right now, and that hole means it's now offering less. And I'm walking with a little bit of a limp, a little bit of a hobble. Which means I'm not going to be able to run as fast or walk away as fast, and it's a whole problem. All because they have, I think in my opinion, a little bit too much of an opportunity to knock you down. Because you saw he got out and kind of turned and crawled to his right a little bit before he knocked me down. But anyway, I'm going to knock a hole in the back of the pantry as a safer way of getting into the common area. Unfortunately, it's not quite as deep into the hall as I wanted to be. So now I'm going to look out and make another one next to the cafeteria window. Because I don't want to be heading down that hall and coming out, because then there's going to be stuff on my left and right, and I have to run all the way back, and there's just too much opportunity to get surrounded. So I want a hall right here through the kitchen that I can use to access this area, which gives me ample opportunity to run back. It means nothing's going to be coming in and getting in front of the door behind me so I can't get out. If at any point I have to run deeper into the prison, that almost guarantees that I'm dead. So as usual, I'm just going to lure them out and deal with them piece by piece, which is a lot more convenient for me. Have I mentioned that I love this machete? Heading back in, we continue to kill more of these guys. I don't know if they're wandering in from elsewhere in the prison, or if they're people that heard me and are coming off of this door. And I get grabbed from around this corner, which is why you should never approach corners so close, especially in a place like the prison. And I want to kill as many of these loose boys as possible before I enact my plan for that door. Or I think it's a door. Unfortunately, you see my anxiety indicator is wiggling when I strike a zombie, and that indicates that my accuracy is reduced. And yes, even melee weapons have accuracy, especially bladed ones, and that's basically your chance to one-shot them. When the moodlet shakes like that, it means it's affecting my ability to do what I'm doing right now. So that anxiety is making me less accurate, which means I'm wasting more ammo than I need to, and I'm using more durability than I need to. So I have a quick cigarette to eliminate as much of my anxiety as possible. It doesn't really work. And I start shooting these guys. And that's all I'm willing to expend, because I know there's going to be a ton of them coming in from this hallway on my left. So I start making my way back out. I'm going to reload my shotgun. Once again, I do not have a whole lot of shotgun ammo, so I want to save it for clusters like that or for really dangerous situations. And I start using my machete clear them out. Again, I shouldn't be being this reckless because I know that they're coming down from the roof, and I don't know if they're going to be falling in behind me. If I turn around and there's zombies coming in that doorway, I am dead. Just D-E-D dead. Luckily, that doesn't seem to be happening. So I pull out my shotgun, willing to expend a few more shells to thin the herd so I can go in with my machete. And every time it starts to look doable, and like I'm going to be able to finish this off, you just see some of them start falling off the roof. They're now responding to the shotgun blasts. I'm going to deal with them. And then more start coming out, and more are falling off the roof, and it's just going to spiral. And I'm going to kill as many as I can so that there's less for when I inevitably have to come back later. Once again, I'm going to use my shotgun to try and thin them. But it's just spiraling too out of control here, and I'm having to retreat more and more. And now you see they get together, they try to take a bite at me. Fortunately, now I've kind of learned to back away when this happens. And now you see I have, not in addition to my anxiety, I'm also starting to become tired. I'm becoming... I forget what they call it. I think it's... Yeah, I forget what they call it, but the lung moodlet means that I'm now exhausted. Oh, exhaustion, I think that's what it's called. And that means that it's going to take more hits with melee weapons in order to kill zombies. It means I'm not going to be able to run quite as fast. And there's now 4 or 5 zombies here that I'm trying to deal with, even with all these negative moodlets. I'm going to put a shotgun blast into them. And unfortunately, now, even though it's starting to look doable, now here's a whole bunch more. And this is officially the moment when I decide that this whole situation is too spooky for me. And it's a good thing that I decide to leave when I do, because now they're starting to come out. Not really a whole lot of room for me to get through, so I just kind of barely make it. I'm hobbling on the scratched legs still. And I'm just trying to make my way to my car so I can finally retreat. And so this entrance, unfortunately, is kind of lost for now. On the upside, there's a whole bunch of zombies outside, so maybe in the next episode, I can pull off some sneaky maneuvers where I lure them away bit by bit and regain this entrance for myself. But anyway, you'll look over here and see we have 818 kills, minus 467, which I believe brings us to 351 kills for this video. But until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next part.